Natlan's archon quest has deceived us all. It hasn't even ended yet, but after the last events that we've witnessed, I can only see the beginning as a lot more meaningful than I initially thought. Natlan started with a lot of colors, with the bright culture and personalities of the people. You could see how dedicated they are all to their land. And that somehow explained why you don't really see Natlan people outside of that region, you know? Because everyone thought that, Natlan is the nation of war. They surely must be, all the time or fighting. It must be a dark place. It must be somewhere they can't even run out of. But then we found out that Natlan was the exact opposite, and some people actually were a little bit disappointed by that. While at the same time, it just made a lot of sense due to the different countries and cultures that have inspired Natlan. But yeah, Natlan definitely wasn't what a lot of people were expecting. And still, it started out strong with some stories like Ateya, Vichama, which definitely made me cry. And then, by the time we have to rescue Kachina from the Night Kingdom, it's already starting to get more serious. I cried as well for Kachina when we finally contact her, and she's just so terrified being there all alone. And when we finally reach her, she's been holding on the way she's been able to, but you can see just how terrified she is, and no one can take that away from her anymore. And that's something that becomes a lot more meaningful later when we are literally in the middle of war and you see warriors, experienced, seasoned warriors who are scared because they know that whether they trust to win this war, whether they trust to do their best, they have no idea of what the outcome will be, and they don't even know if their loved ones will survive. They don't know if they themselves will survive. And this time, death is different because death is gonna be definitive, which is something that also shocked me a lot at the beginning of Natlan, that people are so used to death thanks to the Oath of Resurrection and the Sacred Flame. They have no fear because death doesn't always have to be permanent. And still, in 5.1, death becomes definitive, and still, despite their fears, they still go to battle and do their best. But I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's just watch this amazing cutscene because I was flabbergasted the first time that I saw it.
You've done well. Now come home.
Anyways, coming to rescue Kachina was very risky, and for Mavuika, saving all of us from the Night Kingdom came at a price. I'm getting emotional right now just by seeing Koichi, but I'm gonna try to ignore that. And well, the price to pay was basically using a lot of energy from memories, because memories in Natlan, like the culture and anything related, are power. So we go back to that chamber to see it completely empty, and even her family, like Mavuika's family portrait, is gone. But then we find out something even more
For Natlan.
meaningful and heart-wrenching, and that is Mavuika's plan. She had to leave the Natlan from 500 years ago along with her family in order to save the Natlan of the present that we're living. And this scene with her mom and little sister, because the father didn't even go say goodbye to her, and I thought that was like such a dirty move from him. But seeing how her mother, of course, understands, although it hurts her, while the little sister just can't really understand it. Like, of course, she's gonna root for her, but at what price? You know, like, okay, you're gonna be the savior of Natlan, but like, what about us? You're my sister. I can't lose you like this, you know. And I'm just gonna cry right now as I remember this scene, because back in the day when I played this, I was absolutely sobbing. And I have to say that all of this really made me grow a lot of respect for Mavuika, because at first, you know, like, she was very cool. I really liked her, like her design, her personality, everything. But once you get to know about her plan, and once you get to know that actually she has to die at the end, like, I mean, she might be resurrected or something, you know, I have my theories, but just knowing that she decided to give up her life twice, is just heart-wrenching for me, made me respect her a lot. She let all the other warriors of the clan just live their lives, and she just gave up her first life to give them a chance to live their own lives. And now she's here, but she barely knows anything about what happened to her family, and she knows that at the end of her plan, she's just gonna have to give up her life again in order to save Natlan. But anyways, going on to Citlali, a character I've deeply fallen in love with during the last update. We basically need her so that Xilonen can forge an ancient name for us. However, she needs help too with Ororon, who is actually helping the Fatui, aka Capitano, and she's basically Ororon's granny. It was a dynamic I absolutely adored. I wasn't really a big fan of Ororon design-wise, but now that I've, known more about him, I actually have a soft spot for him. He was basically born with an incomplete or damaged soul and then abandoned. So the people who raised him basically wanted to sacrifice him. And even though he survived, he's always been thinking that he shouldn't have survived, actually. But the most interesting point of these plot lines like Mavuika and Capitano / Ororon team is like when they merge right here. And it turns out that Ororon is also one of the heroes of today, basically, who are gonna carry out the plan with Mavuika. But Mavuika and Capitano are both basically trying to save Natlan, just that in different ways. And I can honestly see the point of both of them. Mavuika's looking at the bigger picture as someone who's given up her life basically twice almost already. She's trying to preserve all of Natlan, and she knows that it comes at a price, just as everything that she's had to do and that she will have to do. But she understands the importance of all that and doesn't want to let go of it. However, Capitano, who just basically throws at us in a very casual way that he comes from Canria, that he was there and that he lost everyone there. And he would have chosen to save those people over anything else. And he's seeing that Natlan is in kind of a similar situation at the moment, that maybe while trying to save Natlan's history, they're gonna risk losing a lot of Natlan's present.
concerns for a long
a lot of
time.
people are gonna die
Mavuika's plan needs
because
too
that's
much
how
time.
war is. And
too many
Capitano is
things can go
basically
wrong.
trying to
The masters
stop
of
the war
Nightland
from
have a
happening,
ceremony that can be
but
used to
Mavuika
glimpse the
knows
future.
that the
It's
price
just-
is too high to pay, especially because the abyss could strike again, and all that loss would have been for nothing, risking again the present people's lives. So I understand both of them. But here's the thing, after all of those events, as I've said before, because I've gotten ahead of myself, the war is imminent. And it starts just as colorful and as casual for us as it could, because we are already used to be the savior from another world, the traveler who's always helping everyone and doing what the rest of people just cannot do, because we are the main character. We are special. We have different powers that set us above everyone else, and so we just have to appear there, put on a fight, and win. And oh boy, was I mistaken when I started this quest. When I looked at the map at first, I was a little bit overwhelmed, like there seemed to be a lot of things to do, and like there were choices to make, but I was very naive, and I thought, well, we'll just, little by little, we'll just get everywhere and help everyone. But Natlan finally slapped us in the face and told us, you wanted war. Well, this is war. You are a single person. Natlan is a huge landscape, and it's not even complete at the moment, I believe, but it is a huge landscape. It takes time to move from time to time. The abyss is strong. There's so much that you cannot just overcome with your own power alone. And even though everyone is fighting, it's just never enough, because that's the thing. That's war. You're never too ready, too prepared for it. And you go somewhere and you help them, but then you go somewhere else, and when you go back to the place you've been before, you realize that everyone is just gone, and the landscape is completely violet because of the abyss magic and smoke. There are decisions to make that will actually have a consequence after the Archon quest, and that's something that I don't think had happened before. In Genshin, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's just something very shocking to see. And even when you're playing, you're just seeing dead bodies all around, and it's just a side that I don't think we had ever anticipated when we started playing Natlan, because everything looked so wholesome, so bright, so colorful, and now Natlan has been turned into the absolute opposite, and there's a lot of people in Sorians that are just dead, and we're even crying for the Fatui soldiers, because in the end they're just here to help. Like, let me tell you, I'm so in love with Capitano. I was not expecting to like him just the way that I like him now, but it was such a surprise for me. Like, yeah, of course, I understand both of, Mavuika and Capitano's different points on this, but in the end, they're just doing their best. They're both fighting for what they believe in, and you gotta be careful if you wish for war, because whether you win or lose, in war, you always stay losing.
It hasn't fully sunk in yet.